Rachel Gardner's eyes appear vacant and devoid of any spark. Her confusion is compounded when she suddenly finds herself imprisoned in a basement, without any recollection of how and why she got there. Something very scary must have happened to her, but that still remains a mystery. When she woke up, she had no idea where she was. She decided to hurry back to her mom and dad. She then remembered that she came to a hospital, but where she woke up wasn't a hospital. There were so many cameras on the wall that seemed to be monitoring her. She then saw a writing on the wall with words, quotes, "Who really are you? You should ask yourself, who am I, the real myself or the one I believe to be, an angel or a sacrifice? Know yourself and a new doors will open." She went to an empty room, where she saw a typewriter with a word asking for her name. She replied, "Rachel Gardner." It asked her why she came here. She replied, she was at the hospital, and the next thing she knew was that she was in the building. It then asked her why she was in the hospital. She replied it was because she saw people die, so she was brought in for counseling. After answering the question, the elevator behind her opened. She went in. An announcement was made from the speaker that the girl on the bottom level has been selected as a sacrifice and that everyone from each floor should make preparations. The elevator then closes and took her to the next floor. She was then told that beyond the elevator is the play area, which she had zero idea of what it meant. She immediately decided to find an exit. She then walked past a broken window, where she heard a sudden noise. She was scared and she hurriedly ran away. As she was running, she saw a bird on the window. It was hurt, so she picked it up. As she was about to get out with the bird, she was attacked out of the blue, and the bird was killed by an unknown guy. Although he was a psychopath, he was very satisfied with the look that Rachel had on her face when the bird was killed. He then decided to tune it into despair. He told her that he would give her 3 seconds for her to try to run away if she could, and for her to cry, scream, and beg for her life. He really wanted to see more of the despair on her face. He then began to count down from 3. Rachel immediately began to run. She entered a room and hid inside a fridge. The guy arrived in the room where she was. He shouted for her to get out from where she was hiding. She stood still and made no noise. He then hid his scythe into the place Rachel was hiding, which was only able to cut off a strands of her hair. He then left in disappointment, thinking she wasn't there. She immediately came out of her hiding to run away before he found her, because if he caught her, he would probably kill her. As she was running, she came across the bird that was killed. She then decided to fix it to look like the bird, which eyes was full of life. She used her needle and thread. As she was about to check for an elevator, the guy suddenly appeared behind her. This time around, he wasn't gonna give her even 1 second to run. She started running. The guy continued to chase her with a smile on his face. Rachel immediately opened the elevator that was in front of her and went inside before he could catch up. She arrived on the next floor after escaping the first guy. Now, she's entering another tiger's den, which she had no idea of. When she heard a footstep, she immediately started running. The guy caught up to her and held her hands. He called out her name. Maybe he was familiar with her. He was Dr. Danny, the one who's been counseling her, but she couldn't remember who he was. He told her not to worry, that he really was her doctor. He also told her that the one who was chasing her was most likely a murderer, and he told her not to worry about him, because he won't be able to come up the floor. They both decided to look for an exit together as per Danny's suggestion. They arrived at a mirror-like dead end. He told her that it's too thick to break through and that both of them were trapped in the floor. He put his hands on her shoulder and told her not to be scared. And if they just take things slow, something good for both of them might happen. Just with the fake smile on his face, you could tell he's also a psychopath. They saw another writing on the wall. Quote, "Do you know what you really want? Do you know what desire is? There is no reason to fight against it if it's your true desire. There is also no reason for you to be here too. But remember, don't break the rules. For each wish, there is a price to pay." That is to say, the building has rules. Also, for the desire mentioned is something different in everyone. For Danny, his desire was to have a perfect eyes. Since one of his eyes doesn't work well, he then told Rachel if only he could have eyes like hers. Rachel was quite scared at his words. He then brought her into a room. It was an operating room, With a gloomy face, Danny asked Rachel if she could give him a good look of her eyes. Rachel immediately ran away from him. He couldn't stop admiring how beautiful her eyes was, which was like his mother's eyes. He told her that he wanted to see her beautiful eyes, and if he could wake up from his nightmare, maybe the beautiful silence, just like the blue moon of his mother's eyes, might return to Rachel. He told her to look for something that was very important to him. He asked her to check the room in the back while he would search the room. What he was looking for was his Alexandrite eyes. He then told her to be careful since the back room was dark. She arrived in a room that had many false eyes stored in it. Danny scarily appeared behind Rachel. He told her to remember the time they both met outside the hospital, but Rachel didn't remember meeting him outside. He took the false eyes from Rachel and decided to put it on. He told her to wait in the other room for him while rubbing her hands. He also warned her not to run or else she would regret it. When Rachel arrived in the other room, she realized that he wasn't the doctor she knew. She then decided to run, but the door was tightly closed. But she used a rod and was able to open it. But before she could escape, Danny appeared behind her with a scary look. He warned her not to run away. He told her that the floor is his floor, and if she was to run away to another floor, he won't be able to do anything to her. He told her that his desire was to continue to see her living eyes next to him for all time. But right now, he has no choice, because she no longer have the ideal living blue eyes that he wants, so he decided to take her eyes for himself. He then dragged her into the operating room. No matter how she pleaded, he didn't listen. He was so sad that she had forgotten who she was and also forgotten about him. He wanted her to go back to those fantastic blue eyes of hers. Rachel pleaded that he should let her go and that she want to go back to her mom and dad. But Danny told her not to worry, that she would see her mother and father very soon, and that would be in hell. That sentence alone made her lose herself. Out of the blue, blood splashed. It wasn't Rachel's blood, but Danny's blood. He was brutally killed by the guy from the first floor. Immediately, an announcement was made that he left his resident of floor B6 to attack another resident of floor B5. As it violated the rules, he was selected as a sacrifice. As he was about to leave, he realized that the elevator won't open. That was when Rachel approached him. She begged him to kill her, but the guy shouted at her, saying that he didn't have time to screw around with crazy bitch like her. He told her to do something about the elevator rather than saying shit. Rachel asked him if he would kill her if she opened the door, but he refused to answer her question. She then went to look for the elevator key. She remembered Danny saying that this floor was his. She searched his dead body and used the key from his pocket to turn on the elevator. He told her that in order for him to kill her, she have to help him get out since he doesn't have that smart mindset. And once she does, he would kill her. Rachel accepted to help him in exchange for her death. He then told her not to be happy too much, because whenever he sees someone acting really happy, he can't resist killing them. But considering the dead eyes of hers, it won't happen. He then asked her for her name. She told him Rachel Gardner. He then said that his name was Zach. They entered the elevator and arrived at the next floor. She paused and told Zach that there was something in the water, but Zach didn't believe her. Rachel then asked him if he knew the building well, but Zach told her that he don't know all the little details, and that he only came to the building because they told him he could kill whoever he wanted. And it's probably the same for the people on the other floors. As they were walking, they came across graves. They went further, and they saw another writing on a stone, quote, "The welcomed by the Holy Land, the chosen by the Lord, the good men, the beloved by angels, the special ones, leave yourself in the magnificent glory of the Lord, to the traitors. Here would be their prison forever," the quote ends. Rachel went to check another grave, which looks like the only new ones, and there was a name on it, and the name was Rachel Gardner, which is her grave, and the next ugly grave, which was probably that of Zach. Zach told her not to stand staring at her grave forever because he didn't intend to die with her. Rachel then pointed out that there was a draft coming from the little space. She then decided to check it out. He thought she wanted to run. She told him that she won't run since he haven't killed her yet. He then told her to go ahead because her word of wanting to die was creepy. She told him to also look for the exit out here, since it would be more effective if they both search. Although there are only graves, but there might be some trigger that they can't see. She then went on to check inside. She told him not to destroy her grave if possible. When she went in, she saw a letter that was meant for her. The writer told her that he had been curious about her for a long time. He wanted to meet her, but an unknown guy was always in the way. He told her that he knew in an instant that he liked her, so he arranged something special. A place just for her, a grave where she can rest in peace forever. Damn it, another psychopath in the building. There isn't anyone actually normal in this anime. Zack has no idea how to find the trigger to exit the floor because there was nothing but gravestone in there. He was really pissed that someone has the audacity to make a grave for him while he's still alive. Out of anger, he began to destroy all the graves with excitement. Rachel entered another room. She saw the record of someone who died on the floor B3, and cause of death was blood loss from a bullet wound. Others who were cut open on floor B6. Another who died by hanging on floor B5, a record of someone beaten to death on floor B4. And they're all people who came to the building. She also saw her record, same with Zack's record. Suddenly, she heard a laughter in the room as the light went off. She saw a letter on the table. The letter states that he knows what she really wants, and he can make her fabulous. Rachel finally exited the room, but when she came out, she saw that Zack had destroyed all the graves simply because they pissed him off. She told him that she discovered something that looked like a reference room inside. She then showed him her record, which contained information about her. Well, he showed no interest at her record. She then showed him his own record. His real name is Isaac Foster, with an unknown birth date. He was raised in an illegal orphanage as a child. Later, the poor condition of the orphanage was exposed. But from that point on, Isaac Foster's whereabouts were unknown. He got angry because she read his profile. He pointed his scythe at Rachel, asking her how she felt about reading his profile. She then told him that it's just a piece of paper with information about him on it. Nothing more or less than that. Zack thought she was afraid of him, but she told him that she wasn't afraid. He told her that he once knew someone who said the same thing as her. She also told him that she wasn't afraid of him and that she was his fan. She was trying to seduce him in order for him not to kill her, but he got angry, although it amused him, so he gave her 5 seconds to run instead of 3. She lied. She said that she was his fan, simply because she didn't want to be killed, but Zack hates lies, so he killed her. She thought the story had something to do with her, so she asked him if he would kill her if she was to run. That was when Zack remembered that she wanted him to kill her. She told him that the paper wasn't all she found and that there seems to be another room at the back that refuses to open. Maybe there might be some trigger that opens it. She also told him that she heard a laughter and a voice that told her that they knew what she really wanted. Zack was really angry, so he decided to destroy all the graves. He also destroyed the grave that had Rachel's name on it. That really made her sad. He told her that she only got to die after they escaped the building. The elevator was still locked, and there was no trigger to open it. He told her to do something about it, so she told him to get into the water. She then asked him if he was really going to kill her. Zack shouted out that he was going to kill her once they escaped, but she didn't believe him and was suspicious. He told her that if she wanted to die badly, she should kill herself. But she said that suicide is bad because God said so. She wasn't sure why, but she believed that if God said it, then it's bad. He told her that she should at least put in some effort if she wanted him to kill her, and the best way to do that is to make a face that would make him want to kill her, either by crying or getting mad. But she wasn't able to do neither, because her face was full of total emptiness, as if she was dead. She told him not to move from the spot he was. He got angry because she was ordering him around. She decided to head back the room. On her way, she saw another letter on the floor that wasn't there before. The writer told her not to be confused about anything, because his wish and hers are perfect fit. Zack, who was feeling cold, decided to get out of the pool, because Rachel had been in the room for so long. He thought she had run away, but didn't. It was so hard for Zack to kill her with the boring look on her face with no thrill. Suddenly, the light went off, and he heard a laughter from the dark. The voice called him a grave destroyer, and he was in charge of floor B5. He told Zack that he had gone through all the trouble of making him a grave, but he destroyed it. But Zack told him that it was a shabby grave for all the troubles he went to. He told Zach that he made it in a hurry, but they can keep that gravestone for him, since it's a perfect match. Zach got angry and retaliated with his scythe, but the mask guy dodged it with his good agility. He told Zach that his name was Eddie. Since Zach also ruined Rachel's grave, he'll have to remake it. He continued dodging Zach's attack. Eddie told Zach that he fell in love at first sight, and that all he ever did was make graves for people who had been killed, so he was getting bored. He likes making graves, but he feels no affection towards the people who go in them since there was no beauty in it. He wants to make the perfect grave for Rachel since she's close to his age. And above all, he says that he could relate to her, loving and being loved. Mutual love, which was more beautiful than a one-sided love for a messy corpse. Eddie was really in love to the extent that you could think he was normal. But he's another psychopath and a sick freak. He told Zach that Rachel is a perfect fit with his aesthetic, which is why he would be the one to kill her. Now, you viewers know this guy is a freak. They continued exchanging blow until Eddie disappeared into the dark and the light came back on. While Rachel was still searching for a way out, she saw another letter on the ground, written by Eddie. He told her that there was nothing to worry about, because they both wanted the same thing. Eddie then spoke from the shadow, and he told her that he's going to grant her wish, but he also have a wish of his own, which was that he wanted Rachel to entrust herself to him. He told her that he understood her well, and that her wish was for her to die. He then appeared behind Rachel. He addressed himself as Eddie, and he told her not to run away, since he won't try to kill her out of the blue like the others, most especially Zach, who is so messy about killing people and has no aesthetic. He told her that he knew what happened to her mother and father, and everyone else around her, but since she did not remember what happened, he decided not to tell her. More importantly, he told her that he can give her a painful death, and he can make the perfect grave for her, also making her wish come true. He then told Rachel to tell him yes. On the other side, Zach was really worried. He thought Eddie was trying to take the lead on him by killing Rachel first, but Zach couldn't bear to see Rachel dead yet. He then went to look for another way to the room. Eddie told Rachel to tell him her wish, and she told him that she wanted to die. Eddie told her that he'd be the one to kill her, and all she needed to do was to say yes. Eddie asked her why she was with Zach. She told him it's because he promised he'd kill her. Eddie decided to take Zach's place and kill her, but she told him that if he do, Zach won't be able to leave the building. Eddie does not care if Zach survives. All he wanted was to kill Rachel. Zach arrived at the opposite end of the room, which really annoyed Eddie. He then told her to choose who she wanted to be killed by between him and Zach. He then knelt down, saying he would give her a beautiful, blessed death. Zach told Eddie that what he calls aesthetic was pretty damn vague, because he was trying to kill her while she still had the dead look on her face. He told Rachel through the wall that he wasn't gonna let her go off and get killed, since there are a lot of people in the building who want to kill her, but he insisted to be the one to do it no matter what. He swore in the name of God. As he swore to God, Rachel changed her mind. She told him to try to break the wall from the other side, which he did, and then Eddie disappeared again into the dark. Eddie was really sad. He told her from the shadow that there wouldn't be any problem with him killing her, but Zach told him that there was a shitload of problems with that. Eddie told Rachel that Zach would make a mess of her, but he'll do better. Eddie insisted that he'd be the one to kill her. Zach told her that if she wanna die, she should make herself useful first. Rachel asked him if he'd kill her if she was useful. She told him to swear to God that he'd kill her. She was so persistent that it made Zach angry, so she had no choice but to believe him. She told Zach that she heard the sound of a door opening earlier, and it's in the room. Also, Eddie said he'd be waiting for them. They finally met Eddie. He continued to ask Rachel if there was no way for him to be good enough for her. He told her that Zach had no interest in beauty at all. He was also worthless in the past, but she had already read it in his profile. She chose Zach because he already swore to God that he'd kill her, and that alone was everything to her. Eddie had no idea what a god was. He does not believe in it, nor does it make sense. He told her that God never told him anything, because that kind of freedom doesn't exist in the building, since they were not allowed just to do as they please. The only thing they were given was the right to kill people on their respective floor, and the floor they're in now was his floor. She insisted that Zach was the one who would kill her. This really pissed Eddie. He told them that they don't get to make a choice on their own. He really wanted Rachel to die as clean and beautiful as she is. And since it's dark, cool, and comforting inside the earth, he decided to take her in there. He then started attacking Zach. He told Zach that no matter how physically capable he was, he can't kill people because his head was empty, so he's always angry. The only thing Eddie wanted was Rachel. He told her that he'd close her up for eternity beneath a beautiful stone after he kills her. He then switched off the light, because no matter how strong and powerful Zach was, he won't be able to fight what he couldn't see.